Hey everybody, it's Dr. Woody and we're back with step 10 in your PASL Write It Up Fast series. And we're moving to another big step. I put baby step, so maybe you wouldn't think it was a big step, but this one is the what part of what you're doing in your professional learning plan. Who is learning and why are they learning? What learning looks like and feels like and how we know they learned. So let's look at my plan. And you'll see here the questions say, what strategies or techniques were used to communicate the importance? So you're going to want to say something here that gives it some weight and lets people know that this is a big deal. So you can either go with like a build the excitement approach, or you can go with a heavy-handed required approach. There's lots of ways you can do this, but you still need to do something to demonstrate that you are not just going to send out an invitation, everybody's going to show up and be happy. We know that's not how it works in real life. So I went with a market basket technique. This is something I've actually done before in real life. It works great. You can use that. There's other techniques you can use. For the market basket technique, you just put items in the basket and you go around and you visit everybody, and it gives them a really authentic way to engage with what changes are coming. And it also gives them a chance to ask questions. You can do a listening tour, or you can do stakeholder meetings. I've done things where you push out different types of targeted communication. So you'll have flyers and emails and social media and that kind of thing so that all the different stakeholders are informed. I went with just the regular market basket technique. And then I also had the principal talk about it in their T-test domains, so in their evaluation. So it does have a bit of the accountability, heavy-handedness there. But I also threw in the part at the end where the student ambassadors would explain the students' part to their peers. I don't know that you would really need that. And I don't know that in this particular task that I made a big deal out of the students' part, but I did in task 1. And so anytime you can include older students in the work, I always think that's just a nice touch in real life. The next question said, what individuals did you select as participants in the professional development? So don't be confused by this. The answer may be everybody. And that's what they did in the PASL Library of Examples. The answer was everybody will be included, and then it tells why everybody's included. But since I had already identified in an earlier step the priority plan and that some people were prioritized more than others because of what they taught, then I explained that here. I just said that everybody will be in this part, some people will be in this part, and then this particular group will be the focus of this part. What approaches were used to facilitate the professional development? So you may think, I have no idea what that question even means. And honestly, I do think it's a weird question. But I just went with this approach. I said that we used small group learning for our primary facilitation method. We have some big groups. We have department meetings sometimes. So you can figure out the facilitation of it. You could also talk about, do you want to have teacher leaders? I'm a big believer in teacher leaders and building that teacher leadership first. I don't think I really talked about it here. I did say team leaders. Yeah, I did put that in there. So I just think that's an important piece if you want buy-in and if you want to build capacity. And that's something else you could say about the why as you're looking for buy-in and capacity building. What strategies did you use to actively engage the participants and what's the rationale? I went with the Knowles adult learning theory, which is always a good one. Anytime you're talking about working with adult learners, I kind of summarize what the 5 steps or findings, I guess, of that theory are, and then how I built those in. And to be honest, I wrote this part where it says I created the standard slide deck and all these things. I wrote this part first. Then I got to thinking about I didn't really give a rationale other than these are cool ideas. And so I went back, Googled Knowles adult learning theory, and reconstructed my work just a little bit to say this aligns with adult learning theory. So that gives me a rationale. What assignments were given to participants or students? So there's 2 directions you could go with this. And you probably need to do both. Let's see if I did both. Yeah, I did do both. And I just talked about the kinds of artifacts. Artifacts isn't always the word I'm looking for, but just exemplars or evidence of learning that I would collect from teachers or that we would store in our data binders. Remember, you're working with adults, so you're not grading homework, although homework can be a part of it. I remember working in a district where we were working on a technology plan where everybody became proficient in technology. And each time we went back to school, we had like a little practice homework piece on our own after the training was over. And we submitted that homework and it was checked. And if we weren't successful, we had to come back and do the training again, or somebody came to visit us at school to help us. And so that's a good approach too. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's see what the exemplar looks like this time, the artifact. So I do hear sometimes from candidates for this test who said this artifact is confusing. They don't know what this means, a teacher or student assignment. So think about the context of where they're asking for this in the plan. So we're working on implementing the building level professional development, and we're talking about a continuous improvement plan. So here's your questions and strategies, and then you want the representative page of the assignment given to teachers. Well, it goes with E right here. What assignment or assignments were given to participants or students to demonstrate the impact of professional development? So if you're talking about what's given to teachers, it would be things like data protocols, homework to do when they got back to their classroom. If you're talking about student assignments, then it would be like, let's say we've been working on making common exit tickets or unit assessments. So then the example of the student assignment would be the thing that we created, which again is sort of like the adult part. It's what the adults created, but it's for the students to do to demonstrate that the professional development had an impact and it hit the both instruction and the student learning. So what is the connection between the assignment and the professional development? And you can see here, I did that a little bit in my paragraph. This could be buffed up a little bit. I don't know if buffed is the word I'm looking for, but I could probably fluff this part just a little bit more, but I think it's good enough the way it is. Let me show you how the exemplars look, and then I'm going to show you the library of examples for this task. So this is the one I chose. I did a data protocol for the teachers since that was something that we were learning. So this would be a cover sheet, and I mentioned it in the written commentary. And I don't know, look, you gotta be careful for things like this. So my Word tool that I use has Copilot built in, which I kind of hate. And it has this Copilot signal. So if you're going to take a screenshot of something, make sure you don't have things in there like Copilot symbols. I put this little blue box here and this one here to cover up the school names. This is the school name, and this actually said a grade level that I wasn't using because I'm doing a middle school sample. But remember, I just Googled mine. I didn't really do my task. And then I used a drawing pen to white out or mark out people's names. But this goes, it's a pretty good example for what I was working on. Hopefully you have a real thing at your school that you can use and you're not just using fake things like I am. See, it really does matter if you do the work. Faking it's not good. And this is from the Library of Examples. I think this is really good. This shows that they have the superintendent sending out something about the importance. And then it goes down to a newsletter and the building principals, and then the individual thing all the way down to the individuals. So teachers got training on what to do. So I thought that was a nice sort of chain of command type communication system. This one is one of the ones where they said all the staff members participate in professional development, and it tells the why. The way that they handled it, our main approach was provide this. The discussions related to this, although they were trained as a whole group, we had these kinds of things going on. We had a survey. And then the active engagement piece was they used a projector and visual aids and discussion boards, PD activities centered around the particular strategy. The specific assignments, it says 2 specific assignments were required of all teachers. So honestly, this answer is a little bit clearer than mine. They led with the answer to start with. It's probably what I should have done in my written commentary. So the question was, what specific assignments were created? They said 2 specific assignments were required. And then it tells why. I don't see any, there's student work samples. So it does talk about student work samples too. So it talks about teaching and learning, which is important if you'll remember from the direction. So I want to wrap this video up by saying this isn't going to last forever, just like the last video. You're not on this ride forever. You've got this. You're going to have so much satisfaction when you get done. Don't stop until you finish. You've got this. See you soon.